recording is on.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yin Yoga by the Pool inside today on a little bit of a windy day. So I have for you some poses that are going to really open up the hamstrings, lengthening the backs of the legs. Also the hip flexors, the IT bands, and some twisting and rotations. We've got some gentle movement and then some longer sustained holds for these poses. So I want you to take any modifications that you need today in these poses. If I'm holding them longer than what feels good for your body, make sure you're listening and taking some time to exit those poses if you need to. So what I'd like to do is let's stand this morning and come to mountain pose. And you can either bring your feet tight together or slightly separate your feet, hips distance apart, whatever you need for stabilization of the spine. We'll take the breath and inhale, reach up. Exhale and lower your arms halfway down. And just notice here, when your arms are up, the shoulder blades have a tendency to lift as well. So bring those shoulder blades down, and then we'll rotate to the right side. As much as you can, keep your pelvis straight forward. And then come back to the center and rotate to the left side. And then as you come back to center and rotate to the right hand goes behind your back. The left hand touches your right shoulder. I'm kind of wrapping my arms around my body. And then as you come back to center, unwrap those arms, reach them out. Twist to the left hand comes behind your back as the right hand reaches across to the left shoulder. And we'll do that twice more each direction with the breath. Inhale to open, exhale to rotate and wrap your arms around your body. Inhale, open. Exhale, wrap with a slow exhalation. One more time each side, full inhale. Look way over that right shoulder as you wrap. And one more moving to the left side. And back to center. Arms again are out to the side. We'll take a side stretch over to the right side, opening up the left side waist. And back to center. And other side. So as we start to move through our practice today, it's a great time to start to self-diagnose anything that might be going on in your body. Just noticing if you have any sore areas, tighter areas than normal, and always moving through a pain-free range of motion. Now, next time we go over to that right side, we'll hold here and rotate the top shoulder back and look up toward the ceiling, bracing through your core. And then we'll inhale to come back up. Exhale into your side stretch and then rotate your top shoulder back a little bit. Just a slight posterior twist. And come up. Side stretch again to the right. And this time rotate the top shoulder forward and reach your arm across. And really opening up this left rib cage. And then inhale, we'll come back up. Side stretch left. And then slightly rotate that shoulder to come across. And inhale back up. Both arms reach, extend through the fingertips. Exhale, soften your knees and swan dive into a forward fold and just coming down a small amount this first time. And then we'll flow through that forward fold, noticing how your flexibility feels in the backs of the legs today. Perhaps coming down a little bit lower each time. And noticing where your tightness originates. Is it in the hamstrings? Is it in your lower back? Maybe your calf muscles a little bit. I'm feeling all three areas. And we'll take one more nice slow inhale. And exhale, coming down to your edge here. And we'll hold our forward fold. It's our first longer sustained stretch of the morning. So some options here are to place your hands on your opposite elbows to hang in ragdoll. You can use a block to support your fingertips. Maybe a chair is in front of you, depending on how tight you are today. And then as we hold this forward fold, really let your neck go. So move it around any way, move your head, circle it, lift and lower, kind of shake it side to side, and allow gravity to release any tension that you have in your neck, almost providing like a traction in the neck vertebrae. The average weight of our head is about 8 pounds. So if we really relax and let that weight pull down toward the floor, we release tension. We separate the neck bones, creating space for the discs. And we'll hold here just about 15 seconds more, maybe sink it a little deeper. Or you can reach your arms and wrap behind your legs to deepen. And one more breath. And release the hands, soften your knees. Inhale, we'll come back up. And press the palms, drop the thumbs into heart center. So you can either stay on your mat this direction or you can turn long way if you'd like. And we'll take the right foot and step it back about 1.5 feet, 2 feet. So this is a short stance warrior 1. Keep your left knee bent. Back foot is pointing straight ahead. And then lift the right arm up and side stretch over. So this is our first sustained stretch here for the front of the hip, little hip flexor stretch. And there are ways that we can accentuate this stretch a little bit. So as we did with our first side bend this morning, we can rotate the shoulder back and look up. That's going to challenge our balance a little bit here. And also think about slightly squeezing the right glute muscle. When you squeeze, that releases tension in the front of the hip. Your abdominals are braced to hold this side stretch. And really ground it into the feet, your Pada Bandha. That lock of your feet into the mat. And then we'll inhale to come up. Exhale, releasing the arms. Straighten out this front knee. Bring your hands to your hips and pull your shoulder blades back. Then begin to hinge forward into a baby pyramid pose. And just notice where you feel that stretch start, and we'll hold right there. Now, hands at your hips, something I like to do to focus on keeping the back from rounding. As soon as we drop our hands down, you'll notice that your back wants to start to curve. But if you want to release the hands down to your shin, to a block, to a chair, just focus on keeping a long spine and not rounding. And if we think about that from the position of the head first, just notice, are you dropping your chin toward your chest, lift it away, And keep the back of the neck nice and long as well as the front of the neck. And then your spine will want to follow that position. So you can remain here in this baby pyramid, or we can twist toward the left leg for a revolved triangle. I'm going to use my block here underneath my right hand, and then placing the left hand on the hip, start to turn your body. You're looking toward the left side. That left arm can also reach up. Sometimes that's a little uncomfortable for the shoulder. If that's the case, maybe wrap your hand behind your back and use the muscles of your core to pull that left shoulder up, spiraling the spine. You might feel this in your IT band as well on that left leg, the front leg. And we'll take one more breath in our revolved triangle. As you exhale, bring your body back to center line. Hands can come back to your hips. Soften your front knee and pull your body up. And just take a moment's notice just to see how you feel. Hamstring, hip, IT band. And then we'll switch so the right foot comes forward, the left foot steps back. And I have my foot pretty parallel, but you can turn it out a little bit in the back, especially if you're feeling if you're struggling with your balance. So let's lift the left arm. Take a side stretch over. And you'll start to feel this hip flexor opening as well as the side waist. And then we can roll that top shoulder back behind us, taking the gaze upward, keeping your core nicely braced. Almost toppled over there. And then squeeze your left glute a little bit. Now we'll help that left hip flexor to soften. And then we keep the breath moving. Noticing your hasta or the pada bandha, the foot lock, pressing into all four corners of both feet for a good solid foundation. And then let's inhale to bring it up. Exhale to lower the arms. Hands at your hips, the front leg straightens out, and hips are nice and squared forward. Begin to hinge with a neutral spine to come forward any amount into your baby pyramid pose. And then again, you can use a chair, a block to support you. And this pose will look different for every body, depending on the tightness of your hamstrings. Some of you might be able to go all the way down, almost placing your belly on that front leg. And some might be more upright right in here. And we'll just breathe and hold. Notice what you're feeling. And we have many more hamstring stretches today, so not really pushing to a full stretch, just that baby pyramid, just slowly lengthening out the muscle. Then if you prefer to stay here, feel free to do that. Or if you like the twist, we'll revolve our triangle, placing a block or support underneath the left hand, and then rotating to the right side. And you're using the muscles of your core to create this rotation. And I feel a lot tighter rotating this direction. You can bring the arm up. You can wrap it behind your back. And keep the breath moving. So notice, do you feel a stretch in your IT band, which would be on the outside of your right hip? I'm also feeling a really nice stretch through my back leg calf muscle. terms of your head position, I'm looking neutral toward the wall, right out to my right side, but you can turn your head down. You can also rotate it way up to the ceiling. Let's take 2 more breaths here. As you exhale, bring your spine back to neutral. Hands can come back to your hips. Soften your front knee and pull yourself up. And let's step the feet back together to your mountain pose. Arms by your side. Just close your eyes for a moment. Check in. Notice how you're feeling. So we will be on our knees for a bit. So if you need some extra padding for your knees, you can bring a little cushion or blanket down into the center of your mat. And we'll come into child's pose. And today I'd like you to take an open hip position in your child's pose. So separate your knees nice and wide. Bring your big toes to touch each other. And then drop your belly right through the space there. Reach your arms out nice and long. And stretch your lats. The upper back. And take some nice deep breaths into the side ribs. So as you fill your lungs, feel the side ribs expand with the breath. And keep sinking the chest down. If your forehead doesn't find the mat, you can place a block underneath the forehead. Or you can also stack your fists and rest your forehead there as well. And one more breath. And lock those hands in. Bring your knees back to hip distance apart. And we'll take a big step forward with our right leg toward the top of the mat. Really big step. And then drop your hips down into a kneeling lunge, our low lunge. We can come up here to support on the thighs. So our goal here is to open up the front of the left hip. So if your pose looks more back this direction, you're not going to experience much release in the front hip. So allow your hips to drop forward and down. Checking the alignment of your front foot. Make sure it's underneath the knee. And then we'll brace our body onto this right thigh with the right hand, lifting the left arm up, and then come into your side bend. So we did this standing in our Warrior One short stance. And we should feel a bigger stretch here through that back leg hip flexor. Then use the same technique. Start to roll the top shoulder back, that left shoulder, to look underneath your arm toward the ceiling. And gently squeeze your left glute. Tense that muscle up a little bit to release the hip flexor and all the way down the thigh. Now in the warm-up, we did a wrap with a twist. So coming back up, take this upper hand and wrap it behind your back. Take the right hand, bring it across to the left shoulder, and turn your body towards your left side. And then we'll reverse that wrap. So unwrap the arms, bring them out. Wrap your right hand behind your back and bring your left hand across the shoulder and wrap to your right. And you can stay upright like this or bring that left elbow to brace across your right thigh, just to give yourself a little bit of support here. One more breath. And then unwrap. Bring your hands down to the mat in front of you and slowly straighten out your front leg into a hamstring stretch here in a kneeling position. So lots of options here for support. Hands can be on blocks or up higher. You can be on a wall or chair, and then slowly guide yourself down, or hands to your mat. So sometimes I see participants want to brace here on the front leg, and sometimes that will cause the knee to extend too far. So we don't want to place the hands on that front leg if possible. And sink down to your edge, and we'll be here for a few more breaths. So just as we did in the pyramid pose, if we think about our head position, try not to let your chin drop down, because where your head goes, your spine wants to follow. So if we lift that chin to where our head is in neutral, it will help us to neutralize our spinal alignment as well. Let's take 2 more breaths here in this hamstring stretch. And then take your right hand and walk it in so it's on the same side of your leg as your left hand. So it's on the inside of your leg. And then pick that foot up and bring it out to the side. You can slide your foot away from you as far as you'd like to open up your inner thigh. And then from here, either remaining on your hands, on a block, on a chair, or you can lower down to your elbows, or you can take a child's pose style position by extending your arms long and bringing your forehead down to the mat. And then just begin to notice the sensations you're feeling. More of a stretch through your right inner thigh, still lengthening the hamstring as well. And bringing your awareness to the breath. It's slow, it's deep and full. And 2 more breaths here. And walk your hands in, press yourself up. Bring that extended right leg back behind your body. So we're on both hands, left knee, right leg is back. We'll bend that right knee and press the heel up toward the ceiling, squeezing the glute. You can remain as you are, or if you have the capability to take your left hand and reach back and grab your ankle, you can grip it and come back into the pose. And my knee's not liking that today, so I'm going to go back to option 1. So we'll be doing a pose later on toward the end of class called cat grabs its tail. So it'll be a similar position as this, but we'll be laying on our back in a twist. And usually we do grab the foot. So I'll give you an option with your strap if you have a difficult time reaching back and holding onto your foot. All right, let's lower that knee down to the mat. Round your back up into cat. Tuck your tailbone under, look toward your belly, and hold 3 breaths. Really expand with the breath into the back side of the rib cage. And here we do get to drop our chin toward our chest because we want to find that big C curve of our back. And then relax back down to neutral and take a nice big step forward with your left foot toward the top of your mat as we come into our previous sequence. So take your time to adjust and find a good alignment here so that the knee is way back behind the hip. We don't want to be up here in the lunge because then we lose this stretch through the hip flexor. And then you'll support yourself on your left thigh with your left hand. Take your right arm and reach it up. Now this might be enough of a stretch for you, so absolutely fine to stay here. Or we can side bend over to the left. And then we can roll that top shoulder back a little bit, looking up underneath the arm. And then create some tension in your right glute by squeezing the muscle. Just gently and hold that. Now, if having the arm up bothers your shoulder, you can still do the pose without the arm extended. It might take some of the intensity out of the stretch, but do what feels best for your arm today. One more breath here. Then as you lower that arm down, it will wrap behind your back. The left hand comes across to your right shoulder and twist to the right. Just holding briefly on this side. Then we'll reverse this. So as you unwrap, your left hand goes behind your back, your right hand crosses to the left shoulder, and twist your body to the left side. You can stay upright or bring that right elbow down to brace on your thigh and hold this twist. Just about 15 seconds. And then we'll come back up through neutral. Bring your hands down to the floor. Start to slowly straighten out the front leg. And if the floor isn't accessible for you, grab your block, place your hands on your chair so that you are in a nice, comfortable position for your hamstring stretch. And I'm pulling my toes up, which really increases the lengthening behind the calf. But if that's too much, you can go ahead and point your toe down. Let's just experiment with that and see what works best for you. And we'll check the position of the neck to make sure chin isn't dropping to the chest. Elongate the spine. And maybe folding a little deeper now that you've found your edge, tuning into the body. And if you're tuning in later on YouTube to this practice, you can pause the video when you're holding these poses and hold them for any length of time that works best for your body. And then we'll bring the left hand to come on the same side of the foot as your right. Then slide that foot out to the side. So we're in a form of a gate pose position. You can slide that foot as far out as you feel comfortable and hold this stretch for your inner thigh. And see how far you can deepen into this position. Coming to your elbows is nice, or sliding your fingertips way out to the top of your mat and bringing your forehead down. And then just check in, tune into the breath, soften any tightness or gripping that you might be feeling in your body to allow yourself to release deeper. And about another 15 seconds here. And then begin to walk your hands in, placing them underneath your shoulders. Bring that left foot to come behind your body. So we're in a form of spinal balance. Level your hips, bend your knee, and press your heel up to the ceiling. And you can stay here or reach the right hand behind to catch your ankle and coming up. And if you can't reach the foot, it's a nice trade-off to just do this by squeezing the glute and lifting the leg up with the strength of that muscle. We'll take 2 more breaths. And then lower that knee back down. Round your back up into cat. 3 breaths, looking toward your belly, tucking your tailbone. Broaden through your shoulder blades. Really separate them apart. And breathe into the back body. And then come back to neutral. We'll step the right foot forward and toward the outside of your mat so that that foot is nice and wide and both of my hands are in the middle. Then turn this front foot out about 45 degrees and use the left hand to rotate your knee open. Coming into a twist, we'll look up over the right shoulder. So you can place that left hand on a block to bring your body up a little bit higher, or to deepen, maybe take your elbow down to your block or to the floor. This is twisting dragon pose. It's a nice hip opener for this right side glute and the left leg hip flexor. And this pose can also be performed without the twist. So if you feel like your stretch is better, if you align yourself forward and bring both elbows down or both hands down, that's another wonderful option in this pose. Two more breaths. And coming out of the twist, both hands again are in the middle. And then press yourself up and swing that right foot back behind you. Press back to a brief child's pose. And then come forward to kneeling plank. Drop both hips down any amount for kneeling up dog. It's a nice little back bend here. Really allow your neck to be long and your shoulder blades to draw back. And we're just evening out the position of our hips, lengthening the spine. And then press yourself back. Take a big step forward with your left foot to the upper left side of your mat so it's nice and wide. Take time to keep inching that foot forward so you can get it in a good position. Then turn your left foot on a 45-degree angle. Your foot is flexed as you roll out to the outside edge of that foot and place your left hand to the inside of your thigh and rotate to the left into a twist. And then notice where you can take this after you start to experience the pose. The elbow can come down toward a block to your mat. And then you can perform it with or without the twist as well. So my goal is to keep dropping the front of my right hip closer and closer toward the floor to open up that hip flexor while I'm opening up the left hip and feeling that in the outside of the glute and into the upper attachment of the hamstring. And 15 seconds. Slowly make your way out of that pose by pressing the hands into the mat. And then swing that front leg around to come back into child's pose. And extend back and stretch, just a brief one. And then we'll pull forward to kneeling plank. And drop the hips down any amount into kneeling up dog. Now really decide if this pose is okay for you, because if you feel any pinching in your lower back, just pull your spine back up and make this more of a core strengthening exercise and do your kneeling plank rather than your back bend. Press your shoulders down away from your ears. 2 more breaths. And then press with your hands to come back. We'll transition onto our backs, and I'd like for you to have your yoga strap handy and maybe a cushion or blanket if you might need that to support yourself in a twist. So we'll first come down onto, let's start on our left side. So stacking your knees together. And bring this left arm forward, and you can place something under your head if you need a little pillow there, or just let it relax to the floor. And we'll take our right hand and make a big rainbow above your head as you start to open into a twist. And go as far out as you can, feeling a great stretch through your right pectoral muscle. And then we'll come back around out of that twist. We've got 3 more of these for 4. Take a nice breath in as you trace the hand across the floor, opening out. And slowly back in. Now your range of motion of the shoulder might be too difficult to actually touch the floor. So yours might look like this, and that's okay. You can be up a little higher to open out. Pain-free range of motion. And then one more repetition, and we'll hold the twist. Once you get to your full range, hold here. So this is our opportunity to do cat grabs its tail. So your foot that's underneath you, it should be the left foot. You'll reach and grab that ankle with your right hand. Now, sometimes it's difficult to get a hold of that foot. I mean, I can reach down and get it, but it's pretty hard to do that. So that's where your strap is going to come in handy. And we'll take that yoga strap, loop it under the bottom of your left foot. You might have to sit yourself up to get it there. So once it's under the foot, you can hold on to it with your right hand and pull your heel towards your glute. And then your right hand reaches up and presses down on the right knee. So we're in a nice twist with a quad stretch on the left leg and a nice little hip opener on the right side. If you'd prefer not to worry about that bottom leg grabbing it, just open your arms out like a T and hold this twist. Let's stay here another 15 seconds, breathing into the rib cage. And then releasing the ankle and trace that rainbow above your head one more time to return back to your originating position. From here, you can either roll over to the other side or you can press yourself up and come on to your right side. Now, if you know you're going to want to need that yoga strap, bring it with you. And you can even place it under your bottom foot now. So it's there and ready to go. And then we'll stack our knees, extending the right arm out. And I got my COVID booster yesterday. I'm feeling that on that shoulder. So let's start to draw that rainbow over the head, opening it out. Oh, this side, holy moly, is much more tight. Wow, that's a big difference. So we'll do 4 of these on this side slowly. So as I rotate and open, I'm turning the back of my head to the mat, facing straight up, and trying to get my arms out like a T. And then back in. Two more. It's nice. I can feel each one of these repetitions. It's getting easier and more free in my left pectoral muscle. So as we come out to this last one, we'll hold. And then if you can reach the left hand and grab your bottom ankle, it's going to be that bottom foot or your yoga strap. Then you'll pull that right heel to your glute. The right hand can press down on this knee. And we're trying to get our shoulders to be squared to the floor as much as possible. And then wherever you can relax, that's your position. So if holding on to the ankle makes it a struggle when you're not relaxing, just let it go. And close your eyes, soften the breath. And we'll be here about 4 more slow breaths. And then if you have the ankle or the strap, release it. Your arms open back out. And we'll trace the left fingertips above the head to come back to your original position. From here, rolling onto your back with your yoga strap, we'll come into a nice assisted hamstring stretch with an IT band release. So we'll place the right foot into the strap and extend your leg up. The left leg, if possible, goes all the way down to the floor. So first, find your edge here in the hamstring stretch. And if your leg's here to get it straight, that's okay. I want you to try to get the leg to completely straighten. Once you have your length in the hamstring, hold onto the strap with your left hand, and without coming into a twist, just slightly pull that left leg. Ooh, it doesn't take much, across the center line of the body to feel the IT band start to stretch here. And then I like to add a stretch on the outside of the shin as well. So if you turn your ankle, like you're turning in pigeon-toed, rotate your foot inward, you might feel this stretch right along the outside of the lower leg. Then from here, we hold. And just close your eyes. Try to relax as much as possible, avoiding any shaking of the muscle or tensing of the body. Just really surrendering to the stretch. Now, after holding for a few breaths, if that initial stretch dissipated a little bit, you can just analyze if you can come a fraction of an inch further. On the other hand, you might say, I think I took it a little too far the first time. So you can also back off on that position just slightly. And this is a great one to pause the video later and hold for a longer period of time. And then we're going to switch the position of this leg. So if you switch the right hand to the strap, still finding your maximum hamstring stretch here, start to open that right leg to the side as far as you feel comfortable. Your left arm can open out to kind of counterbalance your body so it doesn't rock over to the side and your spine stays neutral on the mat. And make sure you're not clenching your jaw or tensing through your shoulder blades. See if you can really relax your leg into the strap so you're not tensing the muscle of your inner thigh to keep your leg up. you're using the strap just like you're laying it in a hammock and totally relaxing. And then as you bring that leg back to the center, we'll just linger in the hamstring stretch for a couple more breaths, really pulling that leg in toward you to your maximum. And then we'll adjust to the other foot. The ball of the left foot comes to the strap, slowly extending the leg up till you find your stretch, and then relaxing the right leg down. I like the right leg straight down because it also releases this hip flexor. You can do it with your knee bent, but then that muscle is shortened. Now, once you have your edge here in your hamstring stretch, hold the strap in your right hand and then gently draw it a little bit across the midline. Ooh. And then turn your toes in so you're rotating your ankle to feel that stretch in the outside of your shin, the peroneus longus. And then close your eyes and soften the breath. Relax here. Just recheck in, do another scan to make sure you're not tensing. You might have a little tension in the arm that's holding the strap, and that's okay. But allow everything else to relax. One more breath. And bringing that leg again through the middle. Make sure you have your maximum hamstring position. And then switch the strap to your left hand and slowly open the leg out into abduction. Right hand can open to counterbalance your body. And I like to let the strap out enough that I can get my right elbow to come down to the floor. And then I'm just using my left elbow, using that bicep to hold the left leg up. And just noticing any differences between right and left sides. And when you're practicing on your own, your poses don't have to be the same length exactly on each side of your body, because you might have some differences in flexibility. So staying in the tighter side longer is a great idea. Or doing that side twice. All right, let's slowly bring that leg back through the center. Find your maximum hamstring position and hold 2 more breaths. And then release the strap. We'll come into a brief Shavasana, so allowing that leg to lower all the way down to the floor. Separate your feet a little wider than hips distance apart. Let your toes roll outward, your palms to face the ceiling. If this feels uncomfortable for you to lay this way, you can bend your knees with your feet on the mat and then walk your feet a little wider than your hips and let your knees fall in to touch. Just clear your mind for a few breaths. And if it's difficult to clear your mind of thoughts, just focus on your breath and how your body's feeling, rather than external distractions and things that you need to accomplish later today. All of that will be there for you. Now, if you need more time in quiet meditation, you can remain as you are. Once I close class and exit the video, you can just relax and breathe as long as you need. Otherwise, take your time in your own way to make yourself up to a comfortable seat. And once you arrive back to a seated position, really sit tall, lengthen your spine. Draw your shoulder blades back, sit proudly. And we'll take a breath together. Inhale to reach the arms up. Press the palms together. Exhale, thumbs come to the heart center. And it's customary to close our yoga practice and recite, "The light that resides within me honors the light in each of you." Namaste. And thank you for the honor to guide you through this practice today. If you can stay with me for a couple of minutes and chat, I always like to check in, do a little debriefing, and see how class felt for you today. If not, maybe I'll see you tomorrow for Backyard Boot Camp. Thanks, everybody.